We've had weekends where we've grossed $6,000, about 1,000 dogs a week. Usually 8 till about 3 in the morning. And it's fun to watch people F around and find out. My name is Roger Bauman. The business name is Gringo Dogs Catering. It kind of started as a joke when I was living down in Costa Rica. We were walking between bars and there really wasn't much for easy bar food. It was beans and rice and typical Latin type food. And I made a joke about we need to bring a hot dog cart in here for food, and one of my friends down there, who always called me Gringo, kind of joked, is, ha, Gringo's Dogs. And I liked the name, and after about 2 years, I kept toying with the idea and finally started it 2 years later in 2017.
So you've been in business for 6 years?
6 years. A little over.
How did you get started? What was the first equipment that you had to buy?
First thing I got was the cart here. It got me a small truck and coolers, and then I needed tables, and then I realized I need credit card stuff to take credit cards, and it just kept one thing after another. You know, you find out you need this, you need that, and you just gradually acquire it as you're going.
Can you say how much the initial investment?
My initial investment was about $20,000.
And when you first got started, how did you get to this spot? Did you have to get a license?
Well, when you first get started, you have to go to the health department and get approved, put down your plan for what you're serving and how you plan to prepare it, take care of it and all that, the health department stuff. Then you got to come down here to the city and get a permit from them, go over all the stuff with them and get yourself approved with that. When I first started, there was 10 other hot dog carts out here. I ended up having to start in a spot way over by the Hopcat on Ionia and Weston. Worked there for a couple of years and tried a few other spots for other events and stuff around town, food truck stuff. Never did really well. And then right after COVID, I was driving Uber and drove past here and saw a pizza cart out here. And I'm like, oh, people are back out. Broke the cart back out, came back out. And we've been the only food cart out here since right after COVID.
Do you only sell hot dogs?
Right now, we just sell hot dogs, quarter-pound hot dogs, walking tacos, chips, chili cheese, and then obviously chili dogs. We'd like to expand into doing corn dogs and French fries once we get a trailer or a restaurant.
What kind of hot dogs are there?
It's a custom-made hot dog. It's to my own recipe. It's keto-friendly. It's select cuts of meat. Then it's spices, it's seasonings, and then it's smoked and cured for 14 hours.
Why not pizza? You saw the pizza guy. What?
Everybody does pizza. There's a pizza place on every corner. It's hard to brand yourself with pizza. If you notice, there's pizza places, chicken places, taco places, burger places, but there's no hot dog places. Hot dog seems to be a street cart thing that you see around in cities, but you don't ever see a restaurant that franchised off that, and that's what we're planning on doing. Building this to a franchise using the carts and drive-through restaurants.
What are some of the expenses that come with running hot dogs?
Food. Right now, especially, every time you turn around, the food costs have gone up. If you can find what you want to begin with. We couldn't get hot dogs because of COVID and labor shortages, so we had to find a butcher. We got working with a butcher. He made our own hot dog, my own recipe. So it's a custom hot dog, but that was the only way we could get enough. You just couldn't find supplies. I still have a hard time finding enough supplies here and there. I'll have to drive all over town to all the different Gordons or order on Amazon to get stuff. The supply stuff is the worst right now.
So for your hot dog cart here, how much did that cost?
The hot dog cart here was about $10,000 when I originally bought it. I just picked up its identical twin, basically, the same exact cart. It was made the same year, matter of fact, the same month as this one was. However, that one was never used. The guy just had it and never used it. I picked that one up for about $5,000.
I don't know what the name is for it. What's the computer thing called?
Just an iPad that we use for our cash register.
Do you guys take cash?
We take cash card. If somebody's got crypto, I've got a wallet on my phone. I'll take their Bitcoin.
What are people usually paying with?
Credit card lately, a lot. Not even debit cards, credit cards. Yeah, it does credit card. It'll do Cash App. It'll do Apple Pay, Google Pay. It takes pretty much any type of payment that they want to.
Is there any weekly expenses outside of food? How much propane do you go through?
Probably 2 tanks a week. And then ice and napkins and linen stuff, styrofoam, trays, and just a lot of miscellaneous stuff that you don't ever think about until you run out of it.
And how much is a license to street vending?
To get all set up, it's going to run you about $1,000 with the health department and the license here in Denver.
Is that a food license or is that a street vendor?
It'd be a street vendor license. It's a different license if you have a food truck, different license if you have like a trailer type thing. There's a couple of different variations.
So if you didn't sell like food at all,
Then you'd want a street vendor's license if you were like, for example, we have friends of ours that when the monster trucks are here, or Disney on Ice, they got the monster truck stuff or all the little Disney stuff, and they have to have a vendor's license to street vend, yeah, but not a food license.
can you set up on any corner?
There's 19 vending zones in Grand Rapids that they allow you to set up at. You have to stay on those unless you've got permission and a variance on private property.
You're gonna put on any more corners downtown?
Yeah, if I can find more carts, I'll buy them like this. I've bought pretty much all the carts that were in Grand Rapids. I bought them and sold them out of state. I got rid of them because I didn't want them, and I didn't want anybody else to have them. It was one of those things, if I can't have it, you ain't either. I didn't want it, so I sold one to Wisconsin, one to Illinois, and one to Cleveland.
Do you guys just do the street vending, or you do events, or?
We mostly do the street vending on the weekends, Friday and Saturday nights out here. We got another cart we're going to be setting up over by the Holland Brewery over on Bridge Street. But we do a lot of lunches for offices and the apartments across the street, and a few of the others. We do a lot of their catering events. We do stuff out at like the Blythefield Country Club. Hopefully we'll be out there for the LPGA tour, and then we'll be down here 24/7 pretty much during Art Prize. We've registered the cart as a venue for Art Prize, and I've got 2 Art Prize projects as an artist that I've submitted. One is an NFT project called Frank, which stands for First Run at NFT Karyagami. It's basically 10,000 unique hot dogs. I'm also have Second Crack at NFT Karyagami, or Skank, which is 10,000 unique female hot dogs. The basic with that is if you have a Frank and a Skank in your crypto wallet, you'll be able to come to our website eventually, mint Teeny Weenies. Use those as your avatar for the game world we want to create called the Wienerverse. We've created our own cryptocurrency already to use kind of like speedy reward points and things like that, to use online to buy the NFTs and things like that. I'm a big techno nerd kind of a guy with all that stuff, been doing coding and stuff for years. So it was just the next step. Instead of doing like digital points like Speedway does, I wanted to do it in the blockchain as a crypto just to kind of be unique.
Do you guys get like consistent customers, or do you do any advertising? How do you get repeat customers?
Most everything is Google, just Google searching. I've been on the internet forever, since the 90s, doing web design. So we've gotten pretty well placed with this when we started with this SEO, search engine optimization stuff. And then I'm everywhere. I post everywhere with all kinds of things. I'll post cat videos and put a hot dog on it. I mean, if I have to, just to get people to attention back to us, however I can market.
What does your like week look like, or a day-to-day look like?
Well, we'll start with a Monday. Usually Monday, I try to recover from the crazy hours on the weekend, see what we need inventory-wise, what we need to get done business-wise for the week, start making my schedule and planning that, see if we got any catering gigs coming up for the week, get a hold of the guys, let them know what we got scheduled. Then I kind of chill for a while if the week is fairly slow. We've been having a couple of catering gigs every week lately. But then Thursday afternoon, I start my shopping to get everything. Friday morning, I finish up the shopping, get all the stuff together, and then I head down here about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I try to get down here. We run here from 8 o'clock is basically our open eyes. Usually 8 till about 3 in the morning, Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday, pass out. I don't do much on Sunday. That's recovered to try to get back onto the first shift schedule so I can run a business during the week.
How many customers can you expect in a night?
Customer-wise, that's a toughie. Several hundred customers. We've been averaging for the last couple months about 1,000 dogs a week. And that's kind of bumped up now that we've picked up a couple of the catering gigs during the week. So we've had weekends where we've grossed $6,000 during Art Prize. We've had weekends where we've grossed a couple hundred. And then I still have to pay my guys. So, I mean, yeah, it's a business. It's hit or miss. You do what you can to try to maximize your hours to dollars with your employees. When you're a small business, you can do that because of the growth potential. If you start with one guy and then it's 4, then it's 8, and all of a sudden it's 20, the first 3 or 4 are now in positions of power and money. I mean, Walmart, when that started, he was getting his managers to buy in, and they were working like it was their own store. Some of those guys are billionaires now because they had faith in their boss and they put their own sweat equity and a little cash into it.
What's like the go-to order? What are people ordering the most of?
Chili dog, because it's been kind of cold, so the chili dog's been the big seller. I'm expecting now that it warms up, it's going to be a little bit less of the chili dog and just more of the hot dog. People love to order 2 or 3 hot dogs and then try to figure, put a little drop of this condiment on, a little drop of that one on, take a bite, and oh, that was good, that was terrible. Kind of try to find their favorite. It's kind of fun watching people freak out over all the different toppings.
How many people are like getting Doritos or a chip bag on the side?
We do walking tacos. We'll average about 20 to 25 walking tacos a night. On Cinco de Mayo, we did Gringo de Mayo with Cinco de Enero walking tacos, $1 off, and we dropped 75 of them. I mean, like 4-fold, 3-4-fold up from what we normally did.
What are some of your plans on like expanding or growing?
We just got a second cart. We're looking at a trailer. We're launching a music video also during Art Prize. That's also going to be a Kickstarter pitch video. We're going to try to raise money through that to start a restaurant here in town. And then from there, get this thing prototyped. And I've got a couple of people that I know from Costa Rica who are some money folks who want to help me franchise this once we get it ready to do.
Have you ever had other employees?
Well, my ex-wife, my ex-sister-in-law, two of my kids, one of them lives in Orlando. My grandson works with us once in a while, little 6-year-old. He'll throw a hot dog or 2 around. He loves doing this. Steve here is my son's best friend. He's kind of been my step kid almost. I've known them forever. And then we have a few other friends of my kids that we brought on and a couple people that I know. I've worked in the entertainment industry for over 20 years, so I have several friends who are either in the hospitality or the service industry, and they always love to come down here and just chill out for a night and throw some hot dogs and watch the crowd. Very less stress than you would get serving people in a restaurant.
Have you ever operated alone on any night?
My first 3 years I ran this alone. It was only until after COVID when I started getting help. I got robbed one night, which is why I started carrying. And then my kids started realizing maybe you shouldn't be down there alone.
So how many dogs do you make an hour or?
I mean, if it was like per hour, I could probably do, I do 4, so let's see, I want to give myself at least 100, for sure, at least 100 dogs. Because usually I'll pull 4 foils, and then because the buns are 4 in a rack, I'll grab the 4. When I throw them here, separate 1, put 1 over here, separate 2, and then, and this is why I can give myself that label of about 100. So I've watched somebody buy, he gave us $200 and said however many hot dogs you can get for $200. So at $4 a dog, I can give you 50 hot dogs. He bought 50, handed them out to about 15 people, and they sat there and mowed them down and thanked us for our service. And I get called a hero on a regular basis, and most of the time I don't want that title, but I'll at least help them out on the way home. That way they got something to eat. That way they're not just out here wandering, drunk, trying to jump into a car and haven't actually had the momentum to start their day. Last thing you want to see is somebody get sick on the way home or somebody get pulled over and be that intoxicated, because DUIs do make a problem. So we had a guy come up completely plastered, leaving one of the respected locations over here. And as he was ordering his 3 dogs, he says, I need 3 chili cheese. And before he even had a chance to say hot dog, goes straight through the table. And we had to get him up and get him together, gave him water, gave him food, was like, you don't have to pay for it this time because obviously you need it more than we do at this point, And that's just one of the many times. We've had people, get into fights over here. We've seen, it gets a little crazy and chaotic, but we try to maintain as much as we can and keep everybody happy.
What's in here?
So I got my chili and my cheese. That's an all beef chili. And then the cheese right here is a melted sharp cheddar. And then this is our big well. This is where we cook our main dogs. And this is where we cook the ones that are going out. And as they start getting that good brown color, I'll start moving them over.
What do you guys do with the leftover?
So if there's leftover dogs, I'll hand them out to people. If they're walking by, or we'll run them across the street, or I'll track, we'll find somebody walking, we'll try to give them to them. For the most part, anything that's actually left over will go home. The kids will eat it, the dogs will eat it, he'll eat it, his roommates will eat it, somebody will end up eating it. But if they're already bunned up and they're usually we used to go down to Homeless Row up here, it's right up on Division and Cherry area. We used to go up there and hand them out like at the end of the night, just because we'd have like 10 or 12 of them at the end of the night. We just, here, man, you guys take these as we went by. But yeah, there's definitely a good amount of people that get dogs from us that don't pay for them, just because everybody's like should be treated equally at that point. It doesn't matter if you're hungry, you're hungry.
Do you think most of your customers are coming from the Bob?
From the Bob Social House, I know we've got a couple of guys that come from Mojo's, like the bartenders and like a couple of the security guys come from there. But for the most part, it's just people walking by. It's people that leave in most of the bars for sure.
Do you see a lot less sales when it's either colder or rainy?
I mean, we were out here this past winter. We started up back in February, back outside. We were out here in bibs and full Carhartts and still selling. I think we still did a pretty decent amount of sales for the being cold as it was. Even days where it's raining, it gets a little crazy. But, you know, for the most part, sales haven't been too affected. Summer, obviously, with weather coming better, we've got a lot higher sales volume, which is nice. But yeah, definitely a lot of the people coming from the Bob, for sure.
If you could add anything to the menu and sell it out here, what would you sell?
Personally, I'd like to have fries, but we don't have room for a deep fryer on this cart specifically.
Can you give 3 tips of advice to other entrepreneurs out there?
Research what you want to do, look at your competition, get yourself ready, but don't be afraid to just pull the trigger and do it. Don't wait till everything is right, because it'll never be right. Just do it and clean up the mess as you go, or you'll never get started. So many people say, you know, if I only would have this, if I only would have that. Well, they wanted to, but they were just waiting for the right this or that. It's never going to be right. Just step out and do what you want to do.
What's like one crazy story that you've had out here?
It's always crazy with the people out here with all the bars and a little, you know, the alcohol going. So that always gets crazy. Once in a while, we had one event where somebody was giving us a hard time, just being really belligerent and drunk. Somebody told them to chill out, don't mess with the hot dog guys. The guy turned around and did the finger point at him, and the guy's girlfriend said something, so he finger pointed at the girlfriend, which made the guy mad. He told him he had until he got his chili dogs to apologize or he was done. I handed him his chili dogs. He looked at his girl, asked if he apologized. She said no. Here, hold these. Whack, and that's where he ended up laying against that sign for about 5 minutes. Didn't know what planet he was on. The other day, somebody right over here was lipping off really bad to a bunch of folks. One of his buddies got laid out because he was the closest to the guy they were giving a hard time to. So yeah, you got to be careful when you're down here. It's not like being on Facebook or Twitter. You can't just smart off and not get smacked back. Yeah, people forget that. They had all the years under COVID where they could be the keyboard warrior and no retribution. And it's fun to watch people F around and find out. But most of the time, it's just cool. People having a good time. They'll get their last call at the end of the night, come out here and hang out and socialize, especially now that it's warmer. We've been out here when it's been like 4 degrees. So now that it's approaching 50s and 60s, you know, people are loving it. They're hanging out and just relaxing.